Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we're talking about lazy investing here in Venezuela and why is most likely not an option for you. So let's start. First, let's define what a lazy investing is, and is that this kind of an approach that usually is from the United States and let's say the UK on the lesser degree and such, and Singapore as well, the financial capitals of the world. And is that on those countries, if you are from outside of those countries, is that most likely people invest on the stock market, on financial assets, even in hard assets like real estate or precious metals, is instead of just buying the whole thing, just go and set up a brokerage account that is very easy to open on the United States. I don't know the UK or Singapore. I believe in Singapore is easy as well. Don't quote me on that, but I know the United States is very easy. They set up an account on Vanguard or Fidelity, these big brokers, or Charles Schwab, or on their retail banking like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Chase, whatever might be the case. And with $8, $10, they buy an ETF. That it is an ETF, in case you don't know and want to explain. You probably know, but for the people who doesn't know, ETF, it stands for Exchange Traded Fund. So this ETF, what they do is a large company start buying a bunch of financial assets, like stocks, for instance, most likely stocks or bonds or whatever may be the case, and they put it on a fund. And when you buy this cheap ETF, they take the money and they buy these certain kinds of financial assets. So it's a very simple and practical way to invest. But usually the way the market is structured in the United States, most of the financial assets are overpriced. And well, that's a question. That's an answer that something that I can do on the next video, on a further video. So I'm not gonna get it into right now. The main takeaway here is many lazy ways to invest on the US and in Canada, on the UK and Singapore, or whatever, just buying this cheap ETF. But also you can buy precious metals. For instance, gold. You don't have to buy the ounce of gold. You can buy either what is called on the financial world like paper gold or paper silver or paper, you name the asset, the precious metal or the commodity, and you, instead of buying gold and silver, you can just buy these certificates or this gold ETF or buying futures contracts and so on. And I don't want to get fancy, but it's a very relatively easy and simple process in order to invest in such goods, in such assets, financial assets, or hard assets. By the same token, you can also invest on REITs, real estate investment trust. Instead of buying a house, you can just, for $100, just for the sake of the conversation, you buy a certificate of a REIT, and you are a partial owner of any given property or any given portfolio of properties, instead of just buying the whole house. So it's a very simple, convenient way, lazy way to do lazy investing. Well, in Venezuela, it's not gonna be the case. Here's why. In order to invest here in Venezuela, you have to first, the most likely you want to get an investor visa. It's not that you can 100% not invest in Venezuela if you don't have the investor visa. However, most likely you are going to need it for most investing. Now, you can maybe purchase a property and such. It's kind of a tricky process, or you can maybe invest on a physical business or some land or even some precious metals or whatever might be the case that you want to invest here. And of course, we have a local stock market and we have ETFs, we have also rates, we have bonds, corporate bonds, corporate debt, you name it, you name it, you name it. We have, of course, not as sophisticated as developed as the United States or the financial assets sold on the city of London or Singapore or Hong Kong or whatever might be the case. Anyway, if you're investing here in Venezuela, it's not like you're from your computer on your pajamas, on your brokerage account, you're going to invest just a few $100s in Venezuela. No, that's not how do you invest in Venezuela. After a while, what you want to do is maybe set up a brokerage account. Here we have brokers from stock exchange assets like stocks, bonds, rates, you name it. And actually, they're quite cheap. You can just for a couple dollars, you can buy a couple of companies, the stock from a couple of countries, a couple of companies that has the most market share here in Venezuela. However, in order to register on such brokers, the local Venezuelan brokers, you need to be legally resident, have a legal residence here in Venezuela. You need all the paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of KYC, know your customer, a lot of compliance that those brokers have to go through in order to function here in Venezuela. In order to access to such opportunities, investment opportunities, speculating opportunities, you are not going to do it from your home in, let's say, the Cayman Islands or New York or Bali, Indonesia, or Madrid, wherever you might be right now. Of course, after you set up everything together, after a lot of time and a lot of bureaucracy, yeah, you can do that on the local brokerage accounts. But before that, you are only limited to a handful of investings, like real estate maybe, some land maybe, but or maybe even a physical business. But after that, if you think that a lazy way of investing here, just a few $100s per month, just for the fun about it, and just for some sheer speculation, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I don't recommend you, if you have this lazy investor mindset, I don't recommend Venezuela at all.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.